Hello and welcome to Finextra. I'm Thea George and I'm here with Rob Hetherington from SAP. We're talking about disruptive technologies. Rob, thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Thea.
So disruptive technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things are really hot topics in financial services right now. Why do you think that is?
I think there are probably two reasons. First of all, the technology is now available. It's more proven than it was. It's more cost effective than it was. The major technology companies have invested, and obviously a number of smaller startups have invested as well. If you like, those are the supply side reasons. I think on the demand side, I think banks have always been early adopters of new technology. They were one of the very original users of artificial intelligence 20 odd years ago, as an example. So the idea of experimenting and trying to embrace and leverage new technologies is something that they do naturally. So I think it's a coming together of those two forces.
So from the range of technologies that I mentioned, do any of them strike you as having the most immediate impact in financial services?
We probably see most activity in the machine learning or artificial intelligence space. And that's been the case for probably about 2 years. So a number of banks and insurers have developed and used robotics-based solutions and applications for things like customer engagement activity. We're now seeing that extended into the adoption of machine learning at scale across a wide range of functions. And the reason that machine learning probably stands out is because it is relatively simple insofar as technology is ever simple. You don't need hundreds of developers and very sophisticated code. You can actually create solutions in a relatively straightforward, rapid way. And then these solutions can be adopted quite easily, and frankly drop money to the bottom line. Many of these machine learning applications and solutions are being used to drive cost reduction, to drive automation of processes, to eliminate sort of costly manual overlays and processes, etc. So that's the reason that machine learning, probably above the others, is the most prominent technology at the moment. We see it being adopted across a multitude of functions, mostly in the process automation space, or maybe particularly in the process automation space. But we also see it, for example, being adopted in sales and marketing activities. Banks and insurers are looking to drive greater customer insight, to understand patterns of behavior, patterns of interaction to a greater extent, which they can then exploit proactively. We see it in operational processes, and this is really where we see a lot of activity that is currently manual being eliminated or displaced one way or the other. Reconciliation activity would be a great example of that. We see it in the finance function, once again, in terms of automating processes that are currently manual, but also driving a greater degree of financial insight from the data that's available. We see it in HR, again in the area of people analytics, and again sort of looking at ways in which, for instance, you can eliminate manual processes such as CV matching for positions. So there are a wide range of use cases across a multitude of functions.
Then what do financial institutions need to do to unlock the power of disruptive technologies?
Yeah, good question. Look, I think the first thing I would say is that financial institutions need to do some homework first, really in two ways. First of all, understand these technologies, understand how they're being applied and adopted, learn from other industries, and then secondly, look across their organizations to identify the highest potential areas for use. But what most banks and insurers find is that there are a multitude of potential areas that they could apply these technologies in, and it's very difficult then to winnow these down. And actually focus is key. And as always with a new technology or new initiative, you want to start with things which have the most potential and in some respects are lowest risk. I do think that banks and insurers need to be prepared to experiment, and in fact that is what we see. We see many banks creating sort of innovation teams, R&D teams, and being prepared to work with multiple use cases, and to a certain extent being prepared to fail, or at least being prepared to adjust what they do until they get to the right answer. And I think that's a very important mindset. The good news here is that, as I said earlier, every major technology company now has a set of tools and in many cases a platform that can be applied and adopted and can be consumed easily and quickly and frankly cost effectively. And we're no different. SAP has launched what we call Leonardo, is our innovation platform where we are bringing together IoT technology, machine learning technology, blockchain technology. It's going to be the platform that we use for open banking, for APIs and microservices. And other companies are doing similar things. So the technology is available. There's a growing set of skills on the market who understand this technology. And I would say, banks and insurers can now start to adopt this and actually quite quickly move to scale.
Rob, thank you.
Thanks very much, Thea.
And thank you for watching.